are you? Today I'm tuning the carburetors on my 1976 Triumph TR6 British Roadster, and it seems like also, since we're doing that, a good time to talk about music from the early part of the 20th century from England. So let's give it a shot and see how we do. So join me. Well, those of you familiar with the naturally aspirated internal combustion engine will recognize the term carburetor. Carburetor is a device that mixes air and fuel as it enters into the intake manifold. On most engines that use carburetors, the carburetor is positioned usually on the top of the engine. Often there's two barrels, sometimes four barrels, where the air enters and is mixed with the gasoline. Well, this car is fixed with not one carburetor, but two carburetors right here on the side. They're called side draft carburetors. They're variable Venturi carburetors, meaning that the barrels actually can increase in size depending on the engine. So it's very, very cool. And when they're tuned just right, they produce this beautifully harmonious sound. It's fantastic. Since we're talking about harmonious sounds, let's talk about the Serenade to Music by Ralph Vaughan Williams. Before we do that, I have to talk about nationalism. Now, nationalism is an attitude more than anything else, and it can be expressed by composers, writers, sculptors, etc. And composers might, for example, quote folk songs, patriotic songs, national hymns and anthems and dances in their music, for example. Writers might include folk tales, legends, stories from a particular nation's history. They may draw on national literary traditions. That'll be important for our discussion today. And they may draw on national landmarks or geographical features. Well, Ralph Vaughan Williams, it's R-A-L-P-H, so it looks like Ralph. We pronounce it Rafe. I suppose if you're in North England, you might say Ralph Vaughan Williams, but we'll stick with Ralph Vaughan Williams. He lived from 1872 to 1958, and he's recognized as initiating a nationalist movement in British music. He studied with lots of great folks, including Sir Charles Hubert Hastings Perry, Charles Wood, Sir Charles Villiers Stanford, later with Max Bruch, and even Maurice Ravel. And he came along during a time of renewed or revived interest in 16th century English composers. He began collecting folk songs in 1902, and if you recognize the composers Kodai and Bartok, they also recorded folk songs in Eastern Europe, so he's in that tradition. And these folk songs had a tremendous impact on Vaughan Williams and influenced the way he wrote, and he even quoted folk songs in his works. He edited the English hymnal in 1906, and he once wrote that a composer should, quote, make his art an expression of the whole life of the community. He composed in nearly every genre. I mean, he composed operas, ballets, much orchestral music, including 9 symphonies. He wrote concertos, many beautiful songs, chamber music, music for piano, music for organ, and even film scores. He wrote lots of wonderful music for choir, including the 5 mystical songs, the Fantasia on Christmas carols, Dona Nobis Pacem, Hodie, many beautiful pieces. Well, Serenade to Music was composed originally for 16 solo voices in 1938, and these were solo singers that had sung for the British conductor Sir Henry Wood. And there was an anniversary concert, a 50th anniversary concert given in honor of Henry Wood, and this piece was written for that concert and performed alongside other pieces. But these singers are represented in the score. If you look at the score, you can see it. Their initials are in there when they're supposed to sing. One of those singers' initials is E.T., and that stands for Eva Turner, Dame Eva Turner, a great singer of the past. I have an interesting connection with her. My voice teacher studied voice with her, which is pretty cool. We at OU have a nice connection to her. She came to the University of Oklahoma in the 1950s and taught voice here, and then later again, I think it was in the 70s, and taught master classes. So that's kind of cool. Well, the setting is of a portion of text from the 16th century play The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare, and it extols the power and beauty of music in vivid and picturesque ways. I mean, it is, after all, Shakespeare's music, Shakespeare's words, so it's beautiful. As I said, this piece was performed on a program of other pieces. On the first half of the concert, the composer and pianist Sergei Rachmaninoff performed his second piano concerto, and then for the second half of the program, he listened from the audience and heard Vaughan Williams' Serenade to Music. He was so moved by the beauty of the music, of Vaughan Williams' Serenade to Music, that he wept. It's kind of touching. Well, we're going to listen to the music, and I want you to listen to the music tonight, though. Listen in solitude so that you can drink in this music. It's about 14 minutes long. Don't worry about that. Don't be daunted. It's beautiful music, but drink it all in, take it all in, and as you listen, let, as the last lines of the text states, let soft stillness in the night become the touches of sweet harmony. Well, speaking of sweet harmony, I got to get back to tuning these carburetors here. So until next time, take care.